Thanks for coming to J&N Travels Podcast with your hosts, John and Nancy.
Hi.
We will discuss everything travel, including cruising, Disney World, other general travel, snowbirding tips, trivia, and other fun things.
I would like to make a special announcement. Most of the comments that we have received are that the majority of listeners prefer an audio podcast opposed to one with a lot of video. The main reasons given are that they like to listen while doing house chores, driving, or walking, which makes a lot of sense. We will slowly be moving over to mainly an audio version. Please put any comments below or email us at j&ntravels@yahoo.com. Thanks for joining us. Each podcast contains 2 segments with travel information. We also have Nancy's Trivia, travel fun facts, and snowbird tips. We have been getting some questions emailed to us and we'll answer one question on each podcast. If interested in sending us a question or making up a comment, email us at j&ntravels@yahoo.com. Please check out our J&N Travels Facebook page, J&N Travels merchandise store, our J&N Travels YouTube channel, and visit our podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and Apple. Our information for everything is listed below. We like to start off each podcast with Nancy's Trivia. Nancy, that's me, will give you the trivia questions now, and she will give you the answers towards the end of our podcast.
Nancy, we're at that part of the show, the beginning of our show, when we ask 3 trivia questions, and then at the end of the show, you will give the answers. So, do you have a theme for this week's trivia, Nance?
Cruises.
Okay, cruise questions. So, what's number 1?
True or false? Cruise ships have a morgue on board.
I actually know the answer to this one.
Ooh.
Number 2?
Do cruise ships have a doctor, nurse, and dentist on board?
I know the answer to this one too. Do cruise ships have a doctor, nurse, and dentist on board? And what is number 3?
Where does a ship get drinking water from?
Geez, I'm 3 for 3 today. Where does a ship get drinking water from? Okay, we'll give the answer to those at the end of this video. Nancy, in this segment, we're going to discuss 9 mistakes that first-timers make on Carnival Cruises. Now, there could probably be 100 mistakes here, but we just picked out 9 that we're going to point out that we've come across. And we probably could add a lot more to this list. If you do have any other ideas, throw it down in the comments and share it with other people. But the 9 mistakes that we came up with. Number 1, cruisers head to the buffet for their first meal, but Carnival offers so many other free dining options with fewer crowds. We learned this, and this can go for any cruise line. We learned this back on NCL in the day, remember, where everyone was rushing to the buffet, and one of the dining rooms was open for lunch. And we went in and had a very relaxing lunch, cruise after cruise, looking out the window because not many people knew about it. Well, Carnival has even more options on their cruises. They have a lot more food venues, complimentary food venues. We always check out the buffet anyways, right? Because we want to see what's on it. But go around and see what is open. Usually the brochure they hand out to you, the newsletter will tell you what's open on the day of departing. So check something out that instead of doing the buffet, you'll avoid a lot of crowds.
That's true. That's really good advice because, we found I believe it was the carnival, we found a nice cozy area outside where they were serving lunch. And
That's right.
there weren't that many people there, and the food was delicious, of course. And that was perfect.
So just take a walk around and see what's there before you sit down and or wait in the big crowds at the buffet. Number 2, Carnival also has specialty restaurants that charge extra for dinner but not lunch. This is huge, especially on Carnival. We found, well, on sea days for one thing, we found that the restaurants, the pay restaurants, especially restaurants, the Asian one and the Italian one, which charged a fee for dinners, had complimentary lunch.
Yes.
And especially the Asian one, we found that was one of our favorite
That was our
restaurants.
favorite one. Yeah, the Asian one was great.
So we tried heading to that during sea days,
Yeah.
and like I said, the lunch and that was Asian, Italian. We also noticed that they turned a pay. I think it was a seafood spot. Remember that little seafood area?
Oh, yeah.
And on sea days, I think it was they turned it into where they served a complimentary food also.
That's right.
And the place you mentioned, a lot of that's the can't remember the something pig. Remember the
Oh,
barbecue place?
oh, No, I forget
I
too.
forget the name, but it's a barbecue place
Yeah,
which charge a fee at night,
yeah,
but in the afternoon you could go down there and get barbecue food that was
yeah. That was really
complimentary.
good.
So don't just assume if there are especially restaurants for dinner that they're also
Mm.
for and there was um, let's see, what was the other one? There was another one that had where they charge you for hamburgers and stuff for lunch on, but the breakfast was complimentary. So you got to poke around and find these special complimentary deals. Number three on the nine mistakes for first timers: many first time passengers miss out on Carnival's adult only Serenity Retreat, which is exclusive to cruises aged 21 and over and has no charge. It's funny, but I think most ships are doing something like this now, and it wasn't this way in the past. A lot of them charge for it. But there's a nice area on Carnival Cruises. You go up, you have privacy, you can lay in the sun. They usually have a hot tub or a small pool that you can just, cool yourself off in. Some of them even have food in the area, complimentary
Yeah, one
food.
of them had that little restaurant behind the pool and the hot tub that was only open for specific hours that we happened to catch.
And the thing about that was there was food in there we couldn't find anywhere else on the
Yeah,
cruise ship. It had some
right.
very unique
Very
food,
unique food there. Yeah, it
but a
was
lot of people
nice.
didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So at least check this adults only Serenity place out. At least check it out and maybe you can relax in it. Number four, the pool and upper decks are always buzzing with activities, but there are many quiet spaces on Carnival ships that go overlooked. And you could say this with any ship. Drives me crazy when you have people complaining about how crowded the pool area is. If you want to be in the pool area to swim because you want to swim, great. If you want to be in the pool area because of the activities, great. But if all you're trying to do is lay around and get some sun or read a book, there are so many places if people just wander away from the pool area that are private and nice and relaxing and even have better accommodations to lay down on, right?
Yeah, you can find them. You just got to search them out.
And they're usually on every
And
deck. You
that's
just
what
have to
we
take a
do.
walk.
Yeah, we usually try to explore the ship so we know where things are. It's always fun to do that. You're like, oh, I didn't know this was here. One time on our cruise, we found a mojito bar, but we didn't find that till much later in the
Like the second to
cruise.
last day in the cruise,
Yeah, and
yeah.
we had wished we found that earlier, but we found it and we enjoyed some mojitos.
Right.
But it was a really cute little bar.
Well, and that's a very good tip. I don't know if we have here or not. Is you get on the ship. I mean, if you're hungry, eat something first, but explore the ship.
Hmm.
Just get it out of the way and find out where stuff is
Yeah.
because you'll regret it if halfway through the cruise you missed out on something all that time.
Yeah, like one of the cruises, I think it was on the Oasis that someone had reported that they wish they knew about the roast beef sandwiches.
Yes,
And we knew about it because we did our
the research,
research and
right?
we made sure we enjoyed them. And yeah, because it was really good. It
Because they don't
was.
advertise everything.
No, they
Some's little
don't.
hidden secrets that you
Yeah.
just have to
And that was
find out
just free
yourself.
for lunch because they charged for
No, they
dinner
closed
or,
early.
oh,
They,
they
yeah,
closed
they
early. That's
closed
what it
like at
was.
3 o'clock. So
Okay, I
we
couldn't
wish it was open
remember.
for dinners because,
Yeah.
but yeah.
They had all kinds of salads and they had soups, and the roast beef sandwiches were fantastic.
We actually had some unusual breakfast sandwiches too that
They
people just don't
did,
know about.
yeah, they did have that. Yeah.
So number five, many Carnival cruises buy the drink package, but it's not usually worth it. This you could say for any cruise ship. If you're a heavy drinker, okay, then you could argue with me that it's worth it for you. But it's not the big like I could probably drink enough drinks in a day to make it worth the package. The problem is usually 3 to 4 days on a 7 day cruise are at a port.
Yeah.
There is no way I'm gonna drink enough drinks on those port days.
No,
So
no.
all those get kind of forfeited.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna drink as much on the I don't even think the bars are open on departure day. So
Right.
that so you don't get that.
Right.
So you've got to really drink a lot to get your money's worth out of it.
Pretty much.
And the other thing we like to tell people, if you're not a heavy drink, there's usually little things around the ship where you can get a taste of stuff for not much. You can buy your occasional drink if you want, but they usually have a gathering, a captain's gathering or something like that, which they give complimentary drinks for. They also have tasting. Sometimes you can go in for free
Oh
and get a
yeah, like
taste
even
there.
the art galleries will serve champagne if they have a special art display. Do they still do the champagne? I think
They
they,
do, but
yeah.
they've learned to serve it at the end of it
Oh,
now
that's
because
right.
people would come in, take the champagne,
Yes,
and
that's
leave.
right. They serve it at the end, so you gotta be willing to wait.
And one thing that we have done lately is, unless you're dying for a drink and you can't do without it, we'll do a port day, and usually right next to the ship, there's some kind of a small local on the island, small place to drink, and we'll sit down there and get a bucket of beer
Yeah,
before we
that's a
get
lot
back on
of
the ship.
fun. That's a lot of fun. Like in St. Lucia, we did that. It was reasonably priced, and the beer was
Well,
delicious.
the beer,
Barbados
right?
the
The beers are
same.
reasonably priced for a bucket.
Yeah.
You're there with local, usually local music
Oh
and
yeah, the
people.
local music was really nice. I enjoyed
So,
that.
and that's a good way to get a drink if if you don't want to spend lots of money on the ship itself,
Yep.
right?
Yep. That's also another way.
Number six, Carnival has designated smoking areas for cigarettes, cigars, and vaping, but bringing drugs on board, including marijuana, is not only a big mistake, but also illegal. For some reason, and I've actually read stories of this, never seen it, there are people that think that they're entitled to bring some marijuana on because people have vapors, and
Gummy bears?
no, yeah, gummies is another one. That's right. That's a very
The gummy
deceiving thing
bears,
too. The
yeah, because
gummies, a lot of them
people
are illegal.
use gummies to help them sleep. They're not allowed to take those
But
gummies.
drugs of any kind are not legal, and you get yourself in a lot of trouble. So just be careful of that.
I know. I have a knee problem, and I was even thinking of bringing my knee rub, but that has CBD oil, so I can't do that. So I was
Just got
like,
to be careful.
yeah.
Yeah. And if you are going to bring something like that, you call ahead and see if the cruise line will accept something like that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm just not going to bring it.
Number
So,
seven, Carnival offers many shore excursions. It may seem easiest to book one through the cruise line. If you want to hit the beach or snorkel, you'll save a lot of money if you go on your own. This is like a huge red flag to us. We will not book a beach excursion. We'll do a snorkel excursion if we're on a boat, like a catamaran.
yeah.
But not will they take you to a beach. It is so much cheaper. And I don't know if people realize not to either. Well, first of all, if we can walk there, we try and walk to a beach. We've done that many times. But if you can't walk, it's just a little too far. Get a local van or cab or something like that, some form of transportation, and just go directly to the beach or to the place you're going to snorkel. You'll save a ton of money. A lot of the time is wasted on the trip over on these organized excursions, and you certainly don't get the time at the beach that you would go on your own, and it costs you a lot more. So that's a huge red flag, a huge suggestion not to take the organized beach or snorkel. Now, I'm not talking snorkel from a boat, just snorkel from a beach or something like that, from the shore. Number eight, no need to overpack. Carnival has self-serve laundry rooms. I didn't know they even had self-serve laundry
No,
rooms.
I wasn't aware of that.
I probably wouldn't use them myself, but it is good to know if people
It
pack and they
is.
have to have something washed, or if they
I
can get away
mean,
with doing a load in the middle of the week, right?
yeah, I mean, some people will take advantage of that service.
Right.
Yeah.
And pack a
I
lot
mean, with the
less.
way, that your bags are checked, you don't want, if they're flying, you're under a certain weight limit. So,
Well, I don't even think of that way, but you're right. The weight limit could be the issue on a plane.
yeah.
And the other thing is, we knew a couple once, and they would pack everything, no matter what trip they took, in backpacks. And they would basically halfway through the week wash everything that they wore in their backpacks. So you can really cut down laundry if you do something
Yeah,
like
if you
that.
know how to pack light, but that's not the case with me. But go, some people got to down pat and they know exactly how to pack light.
Now, there are lots of mistakes that we did not put here. If you come up with any, put them in the comments below. But our ninth one that we decided to put here, and our final one for this segment, it may seem like a small detail, but many first-time Carnival passengers don't know about the towel animal takeover, and it shouldn't be missed.
Yes.
We love it. We have pictures of it. We've never seen it.
No.
Uh, there,
No, we haven't.
it's funny. I think it's early in the morning, and by the time we get up, it's gone.
But on that note, we got our own towel animal menagerie because our cabin steward left all the towel animals for us. So we kept them on the bed and
Well, it was a 12-day cruise, so
yeah.
we had 12 animals
So
he
we
left,
had
which was
12
great. Yeah.
animals, and that was the first for that. So I really enjoyed the fact that he left them for us to enjoy for the
Right.
12 days.
And we do have pictures of the takeover. Friends of ours that we cruise with got pictures of it.
Yeah.
And what that is basically is you go up on the deck by the Lido deck by the pool, And all the lawn chairs, everything's covered with towel animals. They just cover
Yeah,
the
it's
whole
really
thing.
cool. The towel
I
animals
can't,
take over.
I can't imagine how long it took them to do that.
I know.
So
That's a
if you
cute
come up with
way.
any other mistakes for first time cruises on Carnival Cruises, throw them in the comments below. And thank you for listening to these. I always enjoy this part of the video, Nance, when you give some facts out there and I learn stuff. So, do you have a theme today for your facts?
Yeah, MSC fun facts.
Ah, the cruise ship we're cruising on. Okay. What are the
Yes.
fun facts today?
Well, number one, MSC Cruises is the largest privately owned cruise line in the world and has been a leading global cruise line for over 30 years.
That's a long time. Like I said, it's I guess new to this country because I didn't realize it was that old.
Yeah, number two, the cruise line was founded in 1990 by the owner and chairman. The family run line has grown over 800% over the last 9 years.
Imagine that. That's an incredible amount of growth.
Number three, MSC has teamed up with the Lego Group to bring a program to the ships that offer competition and games to kids and families on board.
I guess that's why there's all those statues made of Legos around the ship.
Yeah. Number four, they have more balcony cabins than any other cruise line.
Did not know that.
And number five, MSC are becoming known as the most modern fleet in the world and have an exclusive partnership with Samsung.
They do look, when you look at the pictures and videos of the ships, they do look very sophisticated, don't they?
Yes. Number six, you'll find Swarovski crystal staircases on board in the atrium, and each step is supposedly valued at $30,000 each, so you can step off the ship officially saying you've walked down the most expensive staircases you'll ever come across.
Yeah, I saw these. I've heard rumors of it. They look beautiful, but every step is $30,000.
Oh,
Wow.
that's too much. Last but not least, number seven, the fleet also attracts a slightly younger crowd, 40 years on average versus the rest of the industry at 46 years.
So they average 45 years old, and the rest of the industry is 46. Interesting. Okay, thank you, Nance.
Follow John and Nancy from J&N Travels as they snowbird in Florida for the winter months.
Snowbirding tip. On Route 192 in Kissimmee, in the Old Town tourist attraction, there is a long street of unique stores. Step into a little of the past in the Old Town Country Store. Not only does it have numerous gifts from both the past and present, like shirts, mugs, magnets, taffy, candy, sauces, jams, and much more, but it also has beer at old-time prices that you can walk around with. In the center of the store is a unique old-fashioned car which you can pose next to. So, Nance, one of our segments today is tips for going on solo cruises. Now, neither one of us has gone on a solo cruise, but
No,
a
we
lot of
haven't.
people doing it, and cruise lines are actually making it easier for people to travel and cheaper for people to travel on solo cruises. So, these are some tips if you're thinking about a solo cruise. We gathered this, we looked on the internet, read some materials, and we gathered these tips which we basically agree with. So the first one is spend time researching cruise lines and their solo cruiser offerings. Some cruise lines are more solo traveler friendly than others, offering various financial incentives and events to interest solo cruises. Celebrity Cruises has seen a 225% increase in solo bookings over the past 2 years due to its offerings such as its solo cruiser events, programs, and solo balcony staterooms on their newest ships. Other cruise lines like MSC and Virgin Voyages carry no single supplement charge for one person occupying a single cabin. This means cost is 50% less than a double cabin, as it should be.
That's
Compare
that's
cruise.
good. That's huge.
Yep. Compare cruise lines and find discounts. So first thing is you do your research. Okay. In the old days, you basically to get a cabin. If I was sailing alone, I would have to pay for two people to get a cabin. Now they're making it a lot easier. Some newer ships are actually building these smaller cabins and charging a much less cost to get people on board.
Well, that's good for the cruise lines because they're targeting the solo cruises and they're encouraging them to travel solo.
Right. So if someone was afraid strictly by the cost before, then they would be drawn to these cruise lines.
They would be, yeah.
And it sounds like certain cruise lines are doing a better job of this than others. So good for them. But the key is do your research so you know which cruise lines you get the deal on. Because
Yes,
some still are a lot higher than they should be for the
that's
solo
true.
cruiser.
That's true. So you have to do your research for sure.
Second tip, Check out the dedicated events on board for solo travelers. Every cruise will have a significant number of solo travelers, and it's the cruise line's job to organize activities so that the solo travelers can find each other. This is usually done with a variety of scheduled events throughout each cruise, usually aimed at solo cruises or single cruises. This includes mixes, cocktail parties, game nights, cooking classes, and wine tasting. This is huge because you go on a cruise ship, you're totally alone, you want to meet people,
Yeah, absolutely.
either for romantic reasons or just someone to hang out with, right?
Yeah, it's always better to know someone when you're on a cruise, you
Now,
know.
now, if all of a sudden you see postings that there's a dance just for solo people, not single people, it's solo people, because a solo person could be someone married that's just on the cruise alone. So it's not just
Right.
geared for single people trying to fix people
No,
up.
no, that's a good point.
So there's mixes, cocktail parties. You have a drink. Maybe you talk about the wife and kids at home, someone else, but you're on there yourself, and maybe you hang out with a bestie for the week, right?
Hmm.
Game nights that are geared towards this, cooking classes and wine tasting. So it gives you stuff to go where you're not going to be there with a bunch of families or couples that you can just kind of hang out with other single people, or I should say, not single people, but solo travelers.
Exactly.
The third tip, consider booking some shore excursions as part of the cruise. Each cruise will also offer shore excursions to help you explore the various ports of your cruise. Several cruise lines offer dedicated solo cruiser shore excursions. Once again, do you want to really get on, if you're a solo person, you want to get on a excursion with a bunch of people that are together or families and stuff like that, most likely you want to get on one so you're in the same situation, right? Solo people to hang around with.
Yeah,
So that could be anything from a snorkel expedition or a bus tour of the city. Just gives you something again that if something in common with other people.
yeah. I mean, it would not be as fun if you go on a cruise solo and you don't get to talk to anybody.
Well, imagine you sitting on a bus of the city and everyone around you is gabbing and having a great time, and you're
Yeah,
sitting there all yourself looking out the
yeah.
window.
I mean, it makes it much. We're social people, so it makes it much more enjoyable.
Right. Fourth tip, dine at the solo table on board the ship's main restaurants. One thing that puts most solos off about solo travel is the dining alone. Most cruise lines offer solo dining tables, which means there's a great chance you could end up having dinner with people in the exact same position as you. Connecting with other solo and single cruises can massively enhance your overall experience. I never thought of this in the past. You kind of get plopped at a table, so you can put at a table with a bunch of solo people. It's going to be a lot better than if you're sitting there with a family or a bunch of couples, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Because everyone's going to be talking. I mean, with solos, you're going to be talking about. And that's the other thing. The meal's probably the main spot where you're going to enhance and make plans. So if you're at a table with a bunch of solos, you could make plans for the rest of the evening, or for the next day, or for later on the cruise, right?
True.
Okay, the fifth tip, Nance, is get involved in onboard activity programs. Okay, I never knew they even had these things. Another great way to connect with others on your cruise is to take part in onboard activities and classes. A bit of movement or friendly competition is bound to lead to some spontaneous connections. It basically sums up a lot of the earlier stuff we said. If you're there with a bunch of solo people, then you're going to end up melding with them and doing stuff with them, right?
Yeah,
Okay, number six, challenge yourself and try something new. Now, this would be scary for me, but you can challenge yourself further by trying something new on the cruise, whether it's getting involved with other people or a tournament, a wine tasting, taking part in an art class. Push yourself to try something new, and you'll be rewarded by a new and memorable experience. I could see going on a cruise ship if I'm scared, hanging out in my cabin, going to dinner alone, all this kind of stuff that I walk off the cruise ship with really no great memories, right?
hmm,
If you can push yourself, okay, I think I'll get myself in the ping pong tournament, or I'll go do painting with a bunch of people, solo people. It's going to enhance your spirit, even if you don't build a strong friendship or something. It's going to enhance the whole experience.
definitely. I
That
agree.
than sitting alone in your room or something, your cabin or something like that. Number seven, plan ahead and do your research. This goes kind of back to our whole research thing. It can be overwhelming to pick activities and excursions, especially because you don't have anyone else's opinions influencing you. Pre book as much as you can to avoid feeling lonely or unproductive on the cruise. This sounds like first thing we mentioned, but when we are saying research, and find all the details, which cruise is best for a solo. But this is basically planning in advance, not waiting to see I'm going to get on the ship and book this and book that, but actually doing research and find out what activities are on the ship and what there is to do. And that way you can have things actually booked in advance. So you're not going to sit in your cabin because, oh, tonight they have a painting class at 8. And you get up and you do that, right?
Yeah. No, I think it's better to book in advance, so you know right off the bat what your cruise is going to look like.
Well, even as a couple, if we know we plan certain nights, then we know we have stuff going on. We're not going to just be sitting around. As a solo, that's even more important.
Yeah, it
It's like,
is.
okay, let's do this Monday, this Tuesday, this Wednesday. So at least you have something during the day that you're going to get out of the cabin and go out and mingle with people. Number 8, connect with people before the cruise sets sail. If you're cruising solo and you want to meet people, connect with other travelers beforehand. Search the name of your cruise line, the name of the ship, and the dates of your trip, and you might be able to find a Facebook group for a trip or a forum on Cruise
Oh,
Critic.
that's right. That's a good point. Yeah.
We used to do this all the time, or I used to. I used to get on and look for a Facebook uh, cruising for the trip we're doing, but even more so, I would get on Cruise Critic and look for the date.
Yeah, that turned out to be great. We always had a good time at those you know, cruise critic
Gatherings.
gatherings. Yeah.
Well, and we always tell the story. We met a guy how many years ago? He was actually hosting it,
7 now,
and we
6
hung
or
out with him on the
7.
ship, and we have not gone on a cruise with them again, but it's been 7 years, and we constantly
I believe
emailing
it's
and
7. It's either 6 or
yeah.
7.
And so you very well can hook up with people at these. If you plan them in advance, everyone, the way these work is they usually go to a general location, the ship sponsors it, and the ship a lot of time will supply drinks at this. It's like a cocktail hour, and you just mingle with people. Some have music, some have different activities, some have like they'll swap things like shot glasses from where they're from. But it's a great way to start out by meeting people,
Yeah.
especially if this is geared towards solo people. It's usually on the first. A lot of times, I think it's on the very first, the sail away day, so you can start right off the bat. And if not, it's usually the next day. So do a little research. It's not that hard. If you're not familiar with it, get on the cruise critic boards, look for the cruise you're going on, and then people usually communicate through the chat and the boards and talk about it. We've actually linked up as couples with people on excursions. So you can imagine how fun it would be if you could do that in advance and have plans with people that you haven't even met yet uh, as solos. Number 9, the last one on our list. Now, I'm sure there are lots of other things, but we only grabbed 9 that we thought was interesting, is keep an open mind. That's the main thing. If you're brave enough to go on a cruise solo, you have an open mind to begin with, because that's, to me, is a tough thing to get yourself to do. So it may feel intimidating doing a solo cruise, but remember to stay open to try new activities and meet new people. Doesn't accomplish anything if you're a solo and you go on the ship and stay in your cabin, eat, go back to your cabin, sit at the show alone. Half the fun of being solo is just hooking up and meeting people and doing stuff with other people. So be aggressive and try and plan stuff. That's the best way to have a good time. You agree?
I agree. That's good advice.
Okay.
As we get to the end of another video, Nance, another podcast, we're going to give the answers to the trivia questions. So, what are your trivia questions and answers, Nance?
Well, it's a true or false. Do cruise ships have a morgue on board? What do you know?
True or false? Do
What
cruise
do you
ships
know?
have a morgue on board? As weird as that sounds, I know they do.
Yeah, it's true. It says all cruise ships sail with a morgue, usually located on the lowest decks away from passengers. Who'd know you'd be sailing with stiffs?
But you figure people do die at sea, right? And you got to put them somewhere. I guess
Right.
the answer. So, what's number 2?
Do cruise ships have a doctor, nurse, and dentist on board?
Do cruise ships have a doctor, nurse, and dentist on board? I'm pretty sure we all know they have a doctor and nurse, but I've never heard of a dentist being on board.
No, I've never heard of a dentist being on board, so that's true. The medical staff is usually a ship doctor and nurse, but no dentist.
Yeah, well, that would make perfect sense. And the third question,
Where does a ship get drinking water from?
and that's a long process. I'm sure you have a much shorter answer. Where does a ship get drinking water from? filtration system, right? They actually take seawater and turn it into fresh drinking water.
Yeah, there's a water filtration plant on your ship. Water is 100% safe to drink on a cruise ship. The process is pretty incredible, and that's exactly what they do.
And it actually tastes pretty good, too.
It does taste good. I never had a problem with the water.
Okay, thank you, Nance. As we get to the end of the show, Nancy, we field one of the email questions that's sent to us. We ask people if they have any questions, personal questions, questions about traveling, our travels, to send it to j&ntravels at yahoo.com. That's j&n travels at yahoo.com. And today's question, Nancy, is if you had one Fastpass ride at Disney that you could take, so one ride basically, what ride would you use it on?
Well, I really love the Slinky ride, but I also love Everest. But Everest, you probably don't have to wait too long. So I would say Slinky.
Yeah, I love both of those too, but you're right. Everest, if you get there early in the morning, usually you can get on it with
Yeah.
minimal wait, whereas Slinky Dog's 2 hours all day,
I
right?
didn't
Hour
think
and a
we'd
half
ever
all
get
day.
on it, but it's such a fun ride. So yeah, Slinky Dog.
My choice, and I'm not saying this is my favorite ride, would be Tron, because as you know, we tried getting on Tron with the virtual queue when we were down in Florida, could never get on it. It's the only ride in Disney, all of Disney World, that I have never ridden. So mine, without second thought, would be Tron. So I guess that answers that question.
Yep.
Thanks for coming to J&N Travels Podcast.